Knee-deep in the murky broth of my flooded basement, I clutched a squirming frog in one hand and a waterlogged HOA fine in the other. The air reeked of mildew, wet wood, and something worse, pure humiliation. Across from me stood Vanessa Harov, her designer pajamas clinging to her like a low-budget Halloween costume, eyes wide with disbelief. I kept my voice steady. "This one's on you, Vanessa." The frog let out a croak like it agreed. Just 12 hours earlier, she'd been perched smugly on her porch, sipping lemon-infused water, admiring the brand-new gravel patch where my drainage ditch used to be. It all began simply. I was raking out the narrow trench behind my home, a no-frills, strictly functional channel I'd maintained ever since I bought the place. It wasn't some rustic landscaping choice. It was practical hydrology. Every summer, that ditch carried runoff from my backyard and Vanessa's higher elevation property safely into the city storm drains. Without it, water took the path of least resistance, and that path always ended in Vanessa's walkout basement. Apparently, she either forgot that or thought gravity was subject to HOA bylaws. After Vanessa crawled her way to HOA president, it was like observing a mall cop declaring herself head of Homeland Security. She didn't just uphold the rules, she created new ones. First were the mailbox height regulations, then lawn ornament rules. But her pièce de resistance, the Easement Beautification Initiative. In the board meeting, superiority dripped from her words as she lamented unsightly natural ditches, suggesting they be filled with gravel and bordered by decorative shrubs, then renamed nature trails. I almost spat out my coffee when I read her newsletter, complete with a smiling cartoon sun over what appeared to be a graveled drainage scar. I assumed no rational board would go for it. I was mistaken. Within 2 weeks, a landscaping crew, more suited to a wedding venue than stormwater management, descended. Right gloves, wheelbarrows, even a cement mixer. My ditch was declared a neighborhood eyesore. Vanessa strutted onto my property in athleisure wear, clipboard in hand, and announced the channel didn't meet community aesthetic standards. I told her, flat out, it wasn't decorative. It was critical infrastructure. She smirked. Well, maybe add a fountain. At least that's useful. Meanwhile, her crew boarded over the ditch with plywood, poured gravel on top, and planted 2 twiggy trees as if they were standing watch in Versailles. I stood by, watching it all with my rake still in hand, as years of drainage work disappeared under fake landscaping. Neighbors passed by, giving me pitiful shrugs or pitying smiles. But no one spoke out to Vanessa. She had them all on a leash of fear and fines. I tried one last time. "Vanessa, this isn't about looks. That ditch keeps both our homes dry. Block it, and your basement will be the first casualty." She waved me off. My foundation's sealed. The board voted. It's done. Then to top it off, she hit me with a $25 fine for unauthorized soil disturbance. I sat on my porch that night, staring at a sky heavy with promise. July storms here didn't drizzle. They descended like vengeance. The forecast warned of a system gathering to our west. I could smell the coming rain. I wanted to dig the ditch back out then and there. But with Vanessa's new security cameras, I knew I'd be fined again or worse. So I played it smart. I captured it all. Before and after photographs, video footage, timings, even drone footage of the changed terrain. I was certain that nature was going to speak for me. And it did. That evening, the storm unleashed itself as if it held a vendetta. Rain didn't descend. It hammered. Thunder boomed like a fractured spine. I watched from the comfort of my porch as water accumulated in my yard, seeking the course it used to follow. Discovering gravel in its place, it veered with intent downhill, straight toward Vanessa's flawless backyard. Her lawn gnomes went floating first. Next were the chairs. The true panic ensued soon after. Her basement windows steamed. Lights flickered. A vacuum started wailing, then sputtered out. The next morning, while I sipped coffee from a dry perch, Vanessa stormed across the street, hair tangled, pajamas soaked, clutching a soggy HOA violation notice like it was a legal weapon. "This is your fault," she shrieked. So I kept my cool, went into the garage, came back in with a city easement map and my set of photos. spread them out before her like laying down a royal flush. Here's the ditch before. Here's your gravel. Here's last night's flood. She snapped stiff. Neighbors peeked in their windows. One was fake raking, just to eavesdrop. You planned this, she hissed. You blocked a ditch in a flood zone. Physics doesn't need my help. Then softly, you might want to check your insurance. Landscaping negligence usually isn't covered. Her mouth twitched, rage or dread, I couldn't tell. She turned and stomped back through puddles to her drowned empire. A frog hopped from my yard into her flower bed, croaking like it was mocking her. In the days that followed, the neighborhood held its breath. Vanessa's backyard looked like a disaster film. Mud-smeared deck, toppled shrubs, a chair wedged in the fence. But she wouldn't back down. At the next HOA meeting, she presented a full slideshow, accusing me of intentional hydrological sabotage. She used phrases like gross negligence and even tried to have me banned from future meetings. I sat in the back, quiet, until a board member asked, "Didn't you approve the gravel fill?" Vanessa called it purely cosmetic. Another noted she'd blocked a public easement. She claimed it was an upgrade. Still, I said nothing. My folder was ready. The next day, I headed to City Hall to meet Carla, a zoning officer with the patience of a saint. I handed over easement maps, documentation, and photos. She frowned. Permits filed? None. And they fined you. She scribbled notes, promised a site visit. 3 days later, inspectors arrived, measured elevations, probed gravel. When they tried Vanessa's property, she slammed the door and demanded a warrant. The next morning, the HOA got a city citation. Restore the ditch within 30 days or face penalties. Vanessa fired back in her newsletter, accusing the city of targeted enforcement and even suggesting I'd bribe someone. So absurd, her allies began to backpedal. But I wasn't finished. I combed old HOA records, newsletters, emails, meeting notes. A pattern emerged. Vanessa weaponized bureaucracy. She fined people into submission. Those who resisted left. Then a neighbor named Laya showed up at my door with a flash drive. Said she'd been booted from the board, but not before saving email threads. Vanessa knew her lot was in a flood basin. Her realtor had warned her. She concealed it, even filled the ditch to inflate her property value. I promised Laya anonymity. The emails went into my folder. Then Owen, a retired civil engineer and friend, drafted a report on the ditch's function, the flood path, and runoff patterns. It included diagrams. When Vanessa emailed the board claiming she'd filed an appeal and warned against touching her gravel, I sent the city Owen's report, the emails, and one line. Further delay will be documented. By the morning, a crew arrived. Gravel was graded. Vanessa's curtains billowed. Her car was missing. The crew boss laughed. HOAs love decor. Gravity doesn't care. The rain came again. The ditch flowed nicely. But the actual flood had just started. The emails began circulating. Neighbors whispered, then spoke, then rallied. A petition to remove Vanessa spread like wildfire. At an emergency HOA meeting, Vice President Harold read her infractions: unapproved spending, unsafe construction, misinformation. The vote? Unanimous. Vanessa was out. She didn't show. Her login credentials were revoked. The new board ordered a full audit, found inflated contracts, payments to her cousin. At the Q&A, one neighbor said, "I just want to belong again." Someone else quipped, "I never thought I'd be grateful for a ditch." The room erupted in laughter, and so Vanessa's reign ended, not with a bang, but with a backflow.